Hey there everyone, Jake Serota here. Welcome back to Authority Builders Ranking Secrets. Today, we're going to be talking about backlinks, and specifically which types of backlinks are still driving growth in 2026, and which you definitely should not still be building in the year of 2026. So before we get started, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, so you can stay tuned to everything we're doing here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, first things first, let's do a quick reset whenever we're talking about backlinks. Links did not suddenly change just because AI answers are showing up everywhere. What's changing is how they're evaluated by AI systems and companies like Google and OpenAI. For years, a lot of link tactics were useful, not because they were great, but because the bar wasn't that high when it comes to backlink quality and how companies can evaluate that. But the bar is a lot higher now. So let's go ahead and start with what is still working when it comes to backlink investments in 2026. All right, so the first type of link that is still driving results in 2026 is going to be editorial links inside of real content. These are real editorial links that exist because the author wanted to cite or reference the company in question. They're contextual and they explain why a brand is being referenced during or before or after they are being referenced. It's not just a link inserted in the middle of a random article for the purpose of getting a backlink. Now, these links might be branded anchor text, and that's okay. That's fine. That's still going to add lots of value and actually looks a lot more natural to your website, to models whenever they're evaluating your entire website's backlink profile. So just remember, these are the top tier links. These are links that hold up across rankings, traffic, AI visibility, not because they're magical, but because they're actually valuable to the internet. They represent real trust. And the interesting part is that even if you don't have a backlink on an editorial post, we're still seeing that unlinked brand mentions from real publications are driving real authority, real traffic, and real clicks within AI overviews. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the second type of backlinks that you should prioritize in 2026 are going to be links from pages that actually get real traffic. And this one kind of surprises people, but if a page never gets read, that link might not carry that much signal or weight anymore. Links that send referral traffic still punch above their weight. So it's a strong indicator that that placement is not just for SEO. Real humans interact with it, meaning Google and these other models know that they should continue to cite it because they want to provide content and answers that actually help people. All right, number 3, I kind of referenced a little bit earlier, but this one is specifically talking about brand mentions that reinforce expertise. So sometimes these aren't even linked at all. They could be citing a case study that you did or a white paper, but mentions in credible articles, guides, and publications, maybe even interviews from someone at your company. Those are all things that often show up in forum discussions and AI answers. And we know that's extremely pivotal to brand visibility in 2026. Now, one thing I do want to point out about this is that it makes a lot of sense if you think about how AI models are digesting information and how they're trying to make the web more easy for people to navigate. They are chunking information and they rely heavily on entities. So sometimes if they can identify that your entity is being talked about on a page without direct SEO value or backlinks, it makes sense that they might actually trust that a little bit more. But you definitely need both within your profile. So I'm not saying that backlinks aren't valuable and you should just get unlinked brand mentions, but having a natural profile with both of them is what AI systems are looking for whenever they're trying to find real brands to trust and cite. All right, number 4 is something that a lot of people are still doing, and I definitely think there is still a place for them, especially whenever they're combined with the other tactics that I talked about before. And that's niche authority links. These are not links from huge publications. They're not tiny blogs with no traffic either, but they're sites that are clearly about one thing, and they're respected in that space. Oftentimes they're run by an influencer or a brand who has an offshoot company that's completely focused on creating content about a space and adding more resources on the internet for that space. So getting links from those websites in your industry are extremely helpful. And you can use tools like Ahrefs to understand what your space looks like and prioritize which websites in your industry you should reach out to obtain a backlink from. Okay, so number 5 has been getting a lot of attention whenever people are talking about how to be cited in AI answers, and that is resource guides and listicles, talking about top X best link building companies in 2026. These resource and reference pages are definitely easy for AI models to chunk and understand. However, if you're doing it a little bit too spammy, it can have the opposite effect. And actually, it might do more with promoting your competitors than you think. So, what my recommendation here would be is to prioritize resource lists from real authority publications, not just creating and trying to put out tons of resource lists and top XYZ companies in 2025 or 2026 on a unestablished blog. You need to make sure that you're cited as, in those lists, but you need to make sure that you're not overdoing it, because a lot of people are just posting their own resource guides and they read very, very salesy, because you can tell that they're just trying to put that on their website so that they can rank their own content for best XYZ company. So reference, resource lists, best XYZ rundowns, those are still good, but again, there's a time and place, and they should not be the entirety of your link building strategy. All right, so now let's talk about the other side of the coin. These are links that are still out there and still widely used by many SEOs, many agencies, and a lot of marketers. But sadly, they don't do too much anymore, or they just look pretty in the backlink report. So let's get into those. Number 1, in my opinion, would be spammy Web 2.0 links. So these are links coming from Web 2.0 properties like Tumblr, Joomla, stuff like that. And I think, honestly, this type of link building should have died a decade ago. They don't represent trust. They don't really get traffic. They don't add clarity. The content is usually spun, and usually not spun that very well. So it doesn't add value to the internet. And whenever we're trying to optimize our websites and our brand to be easier for robots and for people to understand on the internet, why would we continue to invest in those types of links? So most systems just ignore Web 2.0 backlinks now, in my opinion. However, they can be used to manipulate some metrics, such as DR and DA. But when it comes to actually moving the needle and making your website rank higher and get more traffic that turns into dollars, is it really worth your effort anymore? Not in my opinion. Okay, let's talk about the second type of links that aren't really working anymore, but are still overly used, and that's blog comment spam. It's the same story. They exist, they're crawled, maybe even see them pop up in Ahrefs, but they don't really move the needle. At best, they're neutral, and at worst, they kind of clutter your backlink profile and they waste valuable anchor text on a link that search engines and AI models probably don't even value that much. So why spend effort if you're doing that in a spammy way? Now, that being said, I'm not telling you not to comment on blog posts or engage with something that you actually find useful. That can actually be very good for your brand visibility and just overall brand building and networking. But you should not be using that as a main way to increase organic traffic or to use as a prime link building technique. Again, it's good to engage with valuable content and connect with people in your space. Of course, that's going to do wonders for your brand visibility. But when you're investing money into backlinks and you're paying someone to do spammy blog backlink building, it's not going to work in the same way that it used to. All right, number 3 is low-end guest posts that are written just for link placements. So you know the ones: general topics, no audience, no editorial standards, maybe very clear right for us plastered on the domain. These look fine in a spreadsheet, and if you're just looking at metrics, they might be fine, but they don't actually add value to your link profile. Now, number 4 kind of goes hand in hand with number 3, and these are links from sites that are just designed to sell backlinks. Even whenever they pretend to be niche, they're usually failing the same test. Again, they probably have tons of generic content about all kinds of different things, no real traffic, no engagement, and they might not be toxic as some backlink tools would have you think, but they're just not valuable. All right, number 5, and this is something that I see pretty much every day. This is over-optimized anchor text links. Exact match over and over and over. I'm talking about hundreds, thousands of links to the same page whenever your competitor's page only have like 10 links. I'm not saying to not use keywords whenever you're building backlinks, but don't build thousands of links with the same anchor text. It's not natural in Google's eyes. Remember, natural language always wins. Context wins. People are looking to read an article and get valuable information. So if these backlinks are not providing that, they're probably not adding value to your profile. Number 6 is something that I see time and time again for local businesses especially, and that's bulk directory links over and over and over again. These are general directories or low quality listings, sites that are really missing like contact info. Now, again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't build directory links. There's plenty of links that a brand, especially a newer brand that's trying to establish its authority online, you need to have directory links. You need to have valuable ones that your customers would actually be using. And whenever you're trying to build a brand online, we oftentimes reference what's called a social fortress. These are all of your profiles, making sure that they're consistent across the board. And for a local business, directories from industry relevant directories and local based directories are extremely relevant to establish your brand on the internet. Not really for people's eyes, but for AI systems and for Google itself to recognize that you're a new entity. So what's the takeaway here? We went ahead and talked about quite a few different link building techniques, some of which still move the needle, and some I think should have been left in last decade. But whenever it comes to the takeaway, it's not that backlinks have stopped working, it's that low quality backlinks have stopped working. Links that reflect real trust, real citations, and real expertise in your industry is going to be what AI models need and how you can future-proof your backlink profile without shoveling money away on links that just don't move the needle anymore. So if you want to sanity check your current link profile and how AI models and Google perceive your brand, we do offer a free AI readiness and visibility audit from our SEO experts. So it's no pitch, it's just a clear snapshot of how you stack up with your competitors in AI search. So I hope you learned something from this video. Make sure to drop a comment and subscribe if you did, and we'll see you next time on Authority Builders Ranking Secrets. Cheers.